If you're a beginner marketer trying to navigate this incredibly noisy online world, I bet you felt that overwhelming anxiety to constantly churn out fresh, groundbreaking ideas. That's exhausting, right? Well, today we're unpacking a highly effective strategy straight from the book Grow with Grit to relieve that pressure and build genuine customer confidence. We're going to look at why doing less, but doing it with way more intention, is the real secret to winning over your audience.
So why aren't your followers buying? If you're feeling that crushing pressure to constantly produce the next viral hit, well, you're definitely not alone. But here's the thing, you might be playing the wrong game entirely. A lot of new business owners and marketers quietly assume that staying visible means you have to be endlessly creative. We kind of trick ourselves into thinking that trust is only earned by always having something brand new to say or by being the absolute most clever voice in the room. But let's break down why that approach almost always leads to total burnout instead of actual sales.
Okay, let's dive right into this. The biggest mistake a lot of content strategists make is focusing purely on visibility. Because while attention gets people to notice you, trust is what gets people to actually believe you. For beginner marketers, man, it is so easy to get addicted to those vanity metrics, the likes, the views, the follower counts. But attention and trust, they are two fundamentally different beasts. Attention might get someone to stop scrolling for literally 3 seconds. But belief is the magic ingredient that actually leads people to subscribe, inquire, purchase, and ultimately become your loyal customers.
Just think about how trust works in the real world. It's exactly like a networking event. I mean, you wouldn't hire someone who just shoves a business card in your hand, shouts a 30-second pitch at you, and then sprints toward the appetizer table never to be seen again, right? You'd remember them, sure, but you definitely wouldn't trust them. Now contrast that with the person you chat with every single month, who actually asks about your business and consistently offers a really useful piece of advice. Content works the exact same way. It is simply a series of positive interactions over time. Moving on to Section 1, the 4 types of trust content. Trying to educate, inspire, entertain, and sell all in a single post is just exhausting. So let's look at the 4 specific types of content you actually need in your strategy.
First up is educational content. This simply helps people understand that, hey, you actually know what you're talking about. This is your bread and butter as a beginner marketer. And listen, you don't need to be the world's absolute foremost expert. You just need to help your audience solve one specific problem. By sharing practical advice, quick tutorials, and really clear strategies, you demonstrate your competence. You show your audience beyond a shadow of a doubt that you have the skills to help them make actual progress.
Second is perspective content. This is great because it allows your audience to see exactly how you think, which really builds your overall credibility. Look, anyone can copy and paste a generic how-to guide, but literally no one can replicate your unique viewpoint. When you share your personal observations, your honest opinions on industry trends, or even just common mistakes you see people making, it helps your readers understand your underlying philosophy. It shows them the real why behind the work that you do.
Third, we have personal content. And this one is crucial because at the end of the day, people relate to people, not to faceless corporate logos. Now, don't worry, this doesn't mean you have to share what you had for breakfast or overshare super private details of your life. Not at all. It simply means pulling back the curtain just enough to show the real experiences, the inevitable hurdles, and the actual human stories that have shaped your business. It just makes you so much more approachable.
And finally, we have proof content. This gives your audience the ultimate confidence that your solutions actually work out there in the real world. I mean, you can talk about your own expertise all day long, but nothing speaks louder than cold, hard results. Testimonials, success stories, case studies, these act as undeniable evidence that you can actually deliver on your promises. It is absolutely the best antidote to a potential customer's natural skepticism. All right, Section 2, mixing education and personality. Let's look at the fascinating psychology behind how these different types of content work together to actually convert beginners into buyers.
So, can this person help me? Your educational content exists specifically to answer this first critical question. And you do this by sharing your expertise through service, not by bragging about it. When someone is consuming your content, they're really just looking out for their own needs. They're thinking, does this person have the tools to solve my current headache? There's a massive difference between shouting, hey, look how much I know, and gently offering, here's something that might actually help you. When you focus entirely on just serving your audience, your expertise becomes blindingly obvious without you ever having to officially announce it.
Then comes the next question. Do I want to learn from this person? Your personal content steps in to answer this one, proving that a practical lesson is just so much more memorable when it's attached to a real human story. You could literally have the best educational content in the world,
But if your audience doesn't actually like or connect with you on a personal level, they'll just take your free information and go buy from someone else. Combining a really useful lesson with a relatable story creates this magnetic kind of content that feels both deeply helpful and wonderfully human.
Moving right along to Section 3, Why Familiarity Matters Most. We really need to dismantle this common myth that your audience is just hanging on to your every single word. Because in reality, they're busy, they're distracted, and they rarely absorb every single piece of content you put out there.
What feels repetitive to you often feels familiar to them. This is absolutely crucial. You should never, ever abandon your core messages just because you feel like you've said them a million times before. This is a trap almost every single beginner marketer falls into. You write a great post about your core offering, and a week later you think, I can't talk about that again. Everyone already knows. But remember, your audience is juggling work, family, and dozens of competing feeds. They probably missed it the first time around. What feels to you like a broken record is to them just a really comforting, recognizable melody.
Let's look at exactly how this builds over time. Step 1. Repetition builds recognition. 2. Recognition builds familiarity. 3. Familiarity builds trust. And 4. Ultimately, that trust creates action. You really cannot skip these steps. You can't just magically jump straight to trust. By consistently returning to your core themes and your core values, you make it incredibly easy for people to instantly understand exactly what you stand for and exactly how you can help them.
Which brings us to our final section, a simple weekly strategy. If you want to replace that crushing pressure of going viral with some sustainable consistency, you just need to assign a single, clear purpose to each piece of content you create.
Take a look at this simple 5-day framework. It really proves that earning trust doesn't require exhausting intensity. It just requires repeatedly showing up and serving your audience well. And look how manageable this actually is for a beginner. On Monday, you just teach one simple concept. Tuesday, you share an observation about your industry. Wednesday, tell a quick story about a lesson you learned. Thursday, highlight and celebrate a client's win. And on Friday, just ask a question to start a conversation. That's it. You don't need a perfectly curated aesthetic feed or a Hollywood production budget. You just need a system that ensures your audience regularly sees helpful, thoughtful, and authentic content from you. So as you sit down to plan your content for next week, I want you to ask yourself this final question. If someone encountered my content over the next 7 days, would they actually understand why they should trust me? Because the businesses that win in the long run aren't usually the loudest. They are simply the most consistent. Look closely at your upcoming content plan. Does it actually have that healthy mix of education, perspective, personality, and proof? If it doesn't, just tweak it. Remember, literally nobody buys because of one single post. They buy because trust has been quietly, steadily building in the background through dozens of small, helpful interactions. So I'll leave you with this thought. Are you trying to aggressively manufacture attention right now, or are you patiently cultivating confidence? Because that choice will completely define the future of your business.